You know, I learned a lot about my parents who may seem incredibly simple, but are heroes to me. My parents left Haiti, left their family legally, just in case this ends up on TV, which it will. But I would just want to put that out there. My parents left Haiti and decided to come to a country that they had heard about. They left the family they know. They left friends that they knew. And my dad worked several jobs. One of the jobs he worked was a janitor in a Catholic school. My mom worked as a housekeeper. My dad and my mom used to teach me different lessons, right? My dad, I'm the youngest of three, so you can understand my dismay when I would ask my dad for something and he would make me write an essay as to why I needed it. What dad does that, right? So I would write this essay, and as soon as I convinced my father that I needed this thing, he would say, okay, great, Mia, you've convinced me you needed it, so now we're going to find a way to help you pay for half of it. I mean, I just wrote this great big essay, right? And I thought that my job was done. So my mom, on the other hand, would teach me more. She would be a little bit more subtle in her lessons. She never wanted us to sit idle. She would always say, hey, go watch TV, go do something, go, make something. So I showed her. I got into the kitchen. I made something that kind of looked like a cobbler. I don't know if you guys would call it that. But I made something that looked like a cobbler, and I stuck it in the oven, and I was just like, great, Mom, if I made this, you have to make sure that everyone eats it. So anyway, put it in the oven, and the whole thing bubbles over, and in the oven, there's this sticky, burnt mess at the bottom of the oven. And for weeks, if my mom would turn on the oven, we had a small house, everyone would run out of the house because it smoked everyone out of the house. My mom got so embarrassed one day, she got in and she cleaned the bottom of the oven, and she didn't ask me to cook anymore. She asked me to go do other things, but she never asked me to cook. So fast forward, I am hanging out with my kids. My mom comes and helps me during an election, the 2012 election. And I see her, I happen to catch her putting a lasagna in the oven. So I run over, and I was just I grab the lasagna out, stick it on a cookie sheet, line the cookie sheet up with aluminum foil, stick it in the oven, and my mom said, Mia, what are you doing? I said, Mom, it might bubble over. She said, do you remember what you did to my oven years ago? I said, yeah, Mom, but I paid for this oven. She goes, now you see why your father made you pay for half of the things. Because he knew that if you had some skin in the game, that if you really cared about something enough, you would make the sacrifices to work for it. These are people who have no more than a high school degree, who had a goal in mind and said, my children aren't going to be raised in this country. They left my brother and my sister behind, by the way, for 5 years. I was born in New York. Can you imagine what it took to leave your kids behind for 5 years? In order to set up a life here in the United States, become US citizens, bring your children over. 5 years is what it took them. And I can never imagine the sacrifices my parents made, but they taught me lessons. They taught me that if I really wanted something, then I needed to make sure I worked for it. And when I worked for it, it would become I would treasure it.